is Steve Huff, and I run a camera blog at stevehufpphoto.com where I review cameras and lenses. Yes, I'm also a photographer. That's what got me started and made me want to do the review blog. It was basically my passion for photography and love of the gear as well that got me started. The reason I started my blog is because at the time there were a few camera review sites out there and they were all technical, and usually I would read the review and I would skip to the last page because it was just too technical, and the sample photos were all technical photos and charts. So I decided to create the site that I wanted to see. So I wanted to see like a real world review site where people use the camera like they would on an everyday basis, and instead of shooting charts and test graphs, I would shoot people on the street or take portraits or just use the camera in everyday situations, and that's how I would review the camera. So that's what made me want to start my photo blog. The way I review a camera is a little different than a lot of the websites that review cameras. I believe that when you buy a camera, say a normal person buys a camera, they want to know how it's going to perform for them in actual use. The image quality, the speed, the handling, the features of the camera. So that's why I wanted to create my site where I will do real world reviews to test the camera in everyday situations. So I focus on things such as image quality, speed, handling, ergonomics, and the features. I came up with the idea to do real world reviews because I wanted to see a website devoted to reviewing cameras, how they were meant to be used. And I believe I was pretty much the first, if not one of the very first, real world review sites, because at the time when I started, everybody was doing technical reviews, which I thought were kind of boring but useful. So I came up with the idea to do real world reviews, and today there's probably hundreds of camera photo sites doing real world reviews. And I take that as a compliment because I actually get excited when I see new sites doing this, because I find it's more useful to the people reading the reviews so they can learn exactly how a camera works and if it is the right choice for them. The way I do the real world reviews is a camera will come to me, I'll open it up, I'll charge it up, and I will either take a day trip or I'll head to somewhere like Las Vegas and I'll walk the streets with it, use it, see how responsive it is, check the image quality, see if it missed focus on any of the shots or how many. Basically just a real world test of the camera, so that way I can report back to the people exactly how it feels, how it works, how fast it is, and how good it is. Being so busy with my blog, I'm always having to shoot. I probably get 3 to 4 cameras per week. Sometimes it's 3 to 4 per month. So I have to take these out and shoot them in real world environments. But when I'm not working, I always take a camera with me. And that's one of the reasons I use mirrorless cameras, because they're so small and compact, yet they're high quality. So I'm always with a camera. I never leave my house without a camera. So you never know when you're going to see something you want to take a photo of. And I also use it for family. You know, I think the most important thing to remember is the reason a camera was invented was to create and capture those moments in time, memories, so you never forget. So when I'm, 20, 30 years from now, when I'm old and gray, well, not really gray, but I can look back, or my son can look back at all of those memories I captured of him from his birth till, currently I'm still shooting photos of my son. So yeah, I go out all the time and I shoot personally as well when I have the time. What makes a good picture, in my opinion, is if you've captured some emotion, if you've captured something special, like I said, a moment of time that will never be repeated. You'll never get that moment of time back. And if you can capture that 1/100th of a second of time, and it means something to you. Like me, I do a lot of family, so to me that means something to me. So as long as it has either some emotion to it or some personal connection to it, you know, or if you, for people who shoot portraits, if you can create a connection with your subject, then they open themselves up to you, and you can see that in their face and in their expressions, and I think that that's important. But for me, it's just basically, if it's a special moment personally, that's what I feel makes a good photo for me. I try to capture all kinds of things. I'm into portraits, I'm into street shooting, I'm into landscape. I like taking photos of my family. But I always like them to look unique. I like them to have something special about it, if at all possible. I like there to be emotion in the photo. I like there to be just a unique look and feel to the photo. I'm all about that. And I think that when you go out and you search for a subject, you can see this subject, how you want it to look in your mind. And so I first envision what I'm looking for. And then I go out and I find it. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I feel that capturing those memories is what's really important in photography. It's like a time machine. This device is actually as close as we'll ever get to a time machine, because you can look back at those moments in time that you capture. So I think that's the most important thing about it, the memories. When I'm out, say street shooting, for example, I'll stand in a spot, and if there's 500 people walking by me within 20 minutes, I'm constantly have my eyes peeled looking for someone unique, a special interaction between two people. Say a little girl holding some balloons and she accidentally lets go of the balloons. That's when I would be ready to fire, when you see the reaction on her face, like, oh no, I just lost my balloons, you know. So there's situations, especially out on the street, that you look for that would make for an interesting photo. Dogs even make great photos sometimes. A lot of times dogs sort of look like they're human owner. So there's some interesting photos that you can take. You just got to look for that special moment and then press the shutter. I was living in central Phoenix for a few years, and it's kind of in the city where I used to live. And I noticed when I would go on walks, I would see a lot of homeless people. And I felt really sad for them, because here it is 110 degrees and it's blistering hot, and they're out there with sunburns and getting blisters and no food and water. So I decided to go out and hand out water or food and talk to them. So I would approach them and I would strike up a conversation, and once I offered them water or food, I found that they just wanted to sit and talk to me. Some of them would talk to me for an hour or two, and then after I would talk to them, I would ask them if I could take their portrait. And because we had that conversation where we connected and they trusted me, they all would allow me to take their photos. And I feel that they opened up to me because of that conversation, and because I offered them water and I was kind to them and I truly cared, you know. So then once I did the first couple, I made it a project to go out every week or so and try to see if I could help anyone and strike up a conversation. And it was mainly done to bring awareness, raise awareness, because I found that it was a problem in Phoenix, because there were so many people living on the street who had nothing. So I thought, that could be me one day. If I lose my business or my income, that could be me. So if I was out there on the street, I would want someone to offer me water or even conversation. Many times all they want is conversation. And you know, their faces would light up with smiles, and they were happy to let me take their photo. But you can see the emotion in their faces in those photos, which it's a pretty special thing, because again, that's a slice of life that you'll never see again, but it's captured in a photo. I think if you're shooting portraits, if that's your thing, if that's your specialty, I do think that you should have some kind of connection or some kind of dialogue with you and the person. If you don't know them personally already, say you're walking up to a stranger on the street, Now for street photography, a lot of people will walk the streets and just snap the back of people's heads, but that's not really street photography. The good street photographers will acknowledge the person, you know, and capture their face and their emotion and their expressions right at that second where they realize, hey, you're taking my picture. But at the same time, they're letting you take their picture. So I think it's good. It makes for a more powerful image if you have at least some kind of connection or acknowledgement from your subject. Basically, my most intensive experience running my website and as a photographer both, because I was doing both at the same time, was when I worked for Seal, the musician. And I went on tour with them twice. And it was very intense because we would, you know, be in a bus all night driving, and we'd get 4 hours sleep, and then we'd hit the next spot, and I'd have to go out as soon as I got there and scope out the arena to where I could shoot, you know. And then by the time showtime came, I had 2 or 3 cameras strapped around me, and I had to wade through thousands of people. And I remember one story, or one occasion, was we were in Paris, and 1 minute before Seal came on the stage, his manager ran up to me and said, "You have to shoot an album cover tonight. You have to. This is your job for tonight." And I didn't even know that that was even going to happen, so I had all this stress, and you know, I had all these people around me. I'm sweating, and it was a very fast-paced environment, that whole tour. It was about 45 days. And I probably didn't get much sleep at all. And when I look back at it, at the time I was stressed, and I was very tired and stressed out. And when I look back on it, I wouldn't change that experience for anything, because it taught me a lot, and it was fun, and I was able to capture many great images because of that stress. I actually use 2 or 3 cameras, and I swap them out depending on what I'm going to shoot. I use a Sony A7S right now, which I love. I use a Leica M, which I also love. And then there's the Olympus EM1, which is also fantastic. And I use them each for different situations. I might use the Leica for a portrait. I'll use the Sony for a low light situation. And I'll use the EM1 sometimes for video, or if I want really fast, accurate autofocus, or I need really good image stabilization. So being a reviewer, I have options all the time, and it usually changes every 6 months to a year because I always get to try so many cameras. But those are my 3 current favorites. I've loved mirrorless cameras since they first started appearing. The Olympus Pen series came out quite a few years ago, and as soon as they came out, I remember being instantly attracted to it because they were so slim and small, and they promised SLR or DSLR quality. Now, of course, the early days of mirrorless, they were really slow. They didn't respond well. There was a lot of flaws. But today, mirrorless cameras, in my opinion, some of them can outperform DSLRs, and at the same time, you're getting a tiny size. This one's not so tiny, but you get a much smaller size, much less weight. And the most important thing is, this means that you will take your camera with you every day. Where if you have a DSLR with a big long lens, it starts to kill your shoulder, and if you're using a strap and you don't want to take it with you. So when I used to shoot a Nikon D700, I would leave it on my shelf most of the time because I would be like, I don't want to lug that around all day, it's going to kill my back. So mirrorless cameras, to me, are the future of digital photography. And I think that every year their sales are going to go up just because of the weight and the size. So that's basically what attracted me to mirrorless. I pretty much think that the point and shoot market is going to go away due to your smartphones that are getting so much better in image quality and taking photos. I also feel that mirrorless cameras are going to be surging in popularity over the next few years. And with more advancements in sensor technology, I think we're going to be able to get smaller, compact cameras with full-frame sensors with amazing capabilities for low light, for focus speed, for video, with all this 4K video coming along. Yeah, all these new cameras are going to have all of these features, and I just think it's going to get better and better. And I bet you that there's going to be some technology that we are not even aware of right now that's just going to kind of blow us away with sensor technology. But I do think the future is towards mirrorless and smaller, high-quality cameras. One reason I like the Camslinger bag is because, as you can see, it's small, it's light, but the cool thing is it straps around you like a holster. And while wearing it, you don't even realize you have it on. Now, on 2 occasions while wearing this bag with my camera in it, I forgot that I was carrying a camera. When I have one strapped around me, or if I'm wearing a bag or a backpack, you always feel something on you. So what's unique, in my opinion, about the Camslinger is that you don't feel it, which means it's not a problem to take your camera with you everywhere you go. So that, and the compactness, the design is cool, and I like that it acts and works sort of like a holster. It kind of, the way it rests at your hip, so you can easily go in and pull out your camera, easily go in and put it back. So that's what I really like about this bag. I think truth is always better than beauty. Now, in regards to photography, I like the truth. I like reality. I like grittiness. If I'm taking a portrait of somebody, for example, I like to see the real person. There was a time when I shot studio portraits, and I would post my photos without touching up, any blemishes or anything, and a lot of people would say, "Why didn't you touch that up?" It's because that's the real person. And if you have to accept people as they are. So I'm more about reality and truth than beauty. I mean, beauty is good too, but truth is always the best, in my opinion.